Hey, what's going on? It's Clint Rihn here. Fall 2023 in the bag. So let's check it out. We'll start out with my putters. My putting putters, I use retro Keystones. I've got 3 matching ones. I like to hold 2 in my offhand whenever I'm putting. It's more of a, like that's how I practice, so it just feels good to me. Yeah, they're pretty neutral disc, good glide. It's pretty shallow, so it feels good in my hand, and just try to get good spin on it. It works good for the way that I putt, pretty flat, pretty direct to the basket. So Keystone's got 3 retro ones in the bag. My 2 throwing putters, I throw these a lot. I don't throw a lot of mid-ranges, and I throw these any hole that's straight, that's under like 300 feet. I'm throwing these. One of them is another Keystone, this Moonshine Keystone. This one is my longer of the 2, and I can really rip on it. I put it on a little bit of hyzer, and then it flips up to flat and just flies flat forever. Just love them, and anything inside 300 that's straight. Even if I gotta like hyzer it or anhyzer, I use this disc basically as my mid-range that goes straight. The other one that's been in the bag, probably the longest, is a Makana, a retro Makana. Can't even see the stamp anymore. I got it in the Trilogy Challenge. That was my first like event that I played in like 2017, I think. It's been in my bag since then, and it's my shorter version of the Keystone. So I rip it flat, maybe a little hyzer, flips up. Might get a little bit of a turn because it's so beat up now, but it's my really trusty. In the woods, I spin it a lot, just to let it hold straight. So that's probably my 2 favorite discs in my bag right there. Moving on to mid-ranges. I have 2 that I pretty much only throw backhand. They're both compasses. This one's an Opto that's been in the bag a while. It's a little bit more understable than this blue one. This blue one is a gold line. It has a little bit more torque resistance to it, so I rip it flat and it holds. Where this one, if I rip it flat, it will turn a little bit. So I use this one more for anhyzers, and this one for straight and straight to hyzer shots, or put it on the angle. This one kind of goes wherever you put it. So if I put it on hyzer, it carries hyzer, and hyzer will hold it. This one's just a little bit more understable, but good disc to have. It's basically like a buzz, if you're familiar. Then I have 3 kind of overstable approach discs. 2 culprits in the bag right now. This is a Prime Moonshine one. It's a little bit straighter, and I like this one backhand a lot. So I throw it flat and let it fade. It's really good for approach shots. Doesn't go too far. Then I have a Moonshine one that's pretty new to the bag. It's a Chris Clemens signature edition. This one's really overstable. It's almost like unusably overstable for me because I naturally release with the hyzer, so it just dumps on a backhand. Get a little touch forehands with it, but if I'm going to go forehand, I usually go with this guy. This is a Nico Anvil BT hybrid. They don't make them like this anymore, and I just love this thing. You can kind of see how warped it is on the top, so I really like to dig in my thumb on the top. I can chop it over and it will still fade back, or I can rip it as hard as I want, and I can throw this thing full power and get it up to like, I don't know, 300, a little over 300 on a forehand, and I just can throw it as hard as I want, and it doesn't like turn over at all or anything like that. So it's a really trusty disc for me. Moving on to fairways. Let's start with this one, a Maverick. This is a Fusion Maverick. As a lot of people know, if you've been following me, I'm not really throwing a lot of forehands right now. I'm just recovering from a shoulder injury, so this is in the bag to do a forehand shot for me as a backhand. I can put it on hyzer like this, and it'll pop up flat and then get a little baby turn. So I'm using it for a lot of longer anhyzer shots. That I would normally use for a forehand and get over to the left to right shot, but this kind of covers it for me. So I don't use it very much. but if I need it in the bag just in case. And then my favorite fairway is an Explorer. I got 3 of them in the bag at all times, different stabilities. So this Bluffside Birdie one that I've had in the bag for since we started Bluffside Birdie a long time ago. This one is a hyzer flip to turn, kind of a little bit more overstable than that Maverick, but this usually is what I get to turn. But that's when I have a forehand. I don't need it to go super hard. So this is more gradual. And then this pink one, I actually got from Latitude 64 back in the day, probably would have been 2018. So it's been in the bag since then. This is my straight one. I can hit it with a little bit of hyzer and that just flies flat and straight the whole time. This is my Woods one that I can just rip flat, and I know it's not going to deviate too far right. It's not going to fade off left. So really good disc to have. And then I have a Goldline one that's been in the bag for a few years as well. This one's a little bit more overstable, so I'll hit it flat and then it will fade at the end. It doesn't get much turn at all, so I can trust it flat and know that it's not going to like turn over and roll or anything. It's just going to put as much power as I want, go flat, and then fade. But yeah, the Explorers I pretty much only throw backhand. Yeah, I don't really forehand them unless I need something really touchy in the woods. And then we kind of got, this is kind of a hybrid. It's a Sargent. I think it's like an 11 speed, so it's a little bit more distance driver speed, but for me it's really controllably straight. So if I rip this, it'll just go flat the whole way and then fade at the end, so that's really good. But since it is faster, it actually pushes almost as far as my distance drivers with less turn. So this is one that if I'm worried about something turning over, I'll rip this guy and just put something out straight. So this is a good disc to have. And then the last fairways that I have are Pioneers. I have 3 of them in the bag. This is my go-to forehand fairway shot. It's kind of like a Firebird, so it's a disc everybody needs, something overstable. This is my straighter one. I've had it since that pink Explorer. So I think 2018 I've had this one in the bag. It's actually a first run Pioneer, but it's pretty straight. If I rip on it, it will get a little bit of turn, but then it will always fade back. So it's more my Woods forehand disc. And then I've got this one, Kevin Kiefer edition Orbit, Fusion Orbit one. This is my more neutral one, so it's in between my Moonshine one and my Opto one. I throw this one more for backhands. For forehands, it doesn't seem as torque resistant as my other one, so I don't love it. It turns a little bit for my forehand. It's off-axis torque. It's probably my fault, but I just haven't built that trust with it yet. So I'm throwing this one mostly for backhands, spike hyzers, stuff like that. And then my real dependable one is, fell off. My dependable one is this Moonshine Pioneer. This is my one that I can chop over on. It will hyzer out. Trust it pushing really hard flat. I know it's never going to turn over, not even just a little bit, so just always be flat to hyzer. Really good disc to have. And then we'll go to distance drivers. Kind of a specialty one is my Destiny, Tournament Plastic Destiny from Westside. This is my roller. It is super understable. It's really fun to throw because I can put it on like as much spike hyzer as I want and it will always get down and roll. So I've thrown it in the woods for rollers too because I can trust it. I know it's always turning over and it always gets down. Sometimes it flips really quick so it doesn't go super far, but it's really good for rollers getting stuff down and to the right. So this is a forehand replacement also. And then I have 2 Ballista Pros in the bag. One Opto one, this is my Bomber. This one I release everything on hyzer. So I release this on hyzer and it flips up, turns a little bit, and then fades back. This is my max distance one. If I really need to rip on it or there's a little bit of wind, this Gold Line one with Creekside Classic stamp on there, this one's more overstable, so I can throw it a little bit harder, or I can put it on Anheuser and I know it's gonna flex out. So actually some of my longest shots have been with this one, but it requires a little bit more effort. So most of the time I like that red one because it's just a little bit easier to throw, hyzer flip and turn it for more distance. But good disc to have. And then 2 Rives. This is my go-to overstable distance driver. I throw these backhand and forehand. I don't really forehand those Ballista Pros at all, but this one I can do either. This is my straight one, just a regular run Rive. It gets a little bit of turn if there's a little bit of wind, headwind, or if I really rip on it. So this is my more distance one, but I always know to trust this one. My Ballistas, a little bit of wind, they might turn a little bit too far. I don't have to worry about that with the Rives. They'll always hold it and then they'll always fade out. So really good disc to have, kind of like a destroyer like disc. So it's something everybody needs, and I recommend the Rive. It's really good. And then the last disc in the bag, another Royal Rive. It's a Linus Carlson one, Orbit team series one that they had I think 2 years ago. This is my overstable one. If there's headwind, I know I can rip it and it's not going to turn over on me. It's always just going to go flat and hyzer, forehand or backhand. So this is really my dependable overstable. If I just need it to go as far as possible and I need it to go left, this is usually what I go with. So that was in the bag. Hope you liked it. Stay tuned for more stuff coming out from me. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So check it out. I'll put my titles and all that stuff in the description. So check it out. Make sure to follow along. We're gonna be playing a lot next year. So and we'll be posting some course reviews and different practice rounds coming up. So stay tuned. See ya.